Hey everybody, Mark Furlow here. Thought I'd take us through some steps today in our instructional technology training to look at how to pull a curriculum document file that you have. It's in a PDF, and let's say you want to put that into a Google form so you can post that to Classroom. And so afterwards, it'll be graded for you, and you can pull those students' grades right off of there and put them into your grade book. So I've got my assessment here. This is a Unit 7 assessment. As you can probably see, it includes a large map, some answers to identify what's in the numbers, and then we've got some questions and answers that are multiple choice, and another small map to go with some questions and answers. So we don't want to put this in just a PDF for kids to fill out because they can't really write on it or anything of that nature. So what we're going to do is we're going to make these into images and questions and answers to post into our Google form. And then we're going to use that form in Classroom. So I'm at ClassLink. I've already logged in. I'm in my Drive. Let the magic happen. Remember, don't hit the X or the magic won't happen. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to create a new Google form. Okay. So I'm just going to click on form. And I like to create mine from scratch rather than pulling them out of Classroom and have Classroom create them for me. It's just something that I personally do. You don't have to do it this way. You could do it otherwise, create straight from Google Classroom. But I like this format because it gives me a little bit more things to work with. Okay, so my first thing is Unit 7 assessment. I'm going to take this and I'll pull the title directly off of my PDF. So I'm at my PDF here. And really all I'm going to do is highlight, Control C, and then I'm going to come back over to my form, Control V, that's my title. Click up here, that's now my title. Okay, I've got instructions over here, and I'm going to put those in my instructions. Now I'm going to have to change these a little bit because let's see what they say. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. Copy, I right-clicked and copied there in that case instead of Control C. I'm back at my assessment. This is my form description, so I don't want to put anything there, but here are my questions. I could put my instructions within this question here, and I will probably do that in a second. Let's see what they say after I've got this. On the map below, 12 important physical features are numbered from 1 to 12. Their names are listed in the answer bank. Write the name of each physical feature on the line next to each number. We're not going to be writing anything. We're going to be matching things. So I have 12 features numbered 1 to 12. And what they're going to do is they're going to choose the feature that matches the number. Okay. Over here, I'm not making a multiple choice. What I'm going to make is what's called a multiple choice grid. And that way I'll have a lot of different things for them to choose from. Okay, so I have my multiple choice grid. I'm also going to insert an image over here because this is going to be the map that they're going to look at. And I want to pull the image off of this PDF. So this is my map, if you will, my image. Okay. It's at 132%. I'm going to bring it down to 100. That'll help me do a couple of things. The first, of course, is going to be to be able to fit it all in a selection. And the other is going to be make it so it's viewable on the kids' Chromebook or their phone even. And it won't be so big that they can't see it. Okay. So a couple of different options you have. You can use your scan snipping tool, which is the snipping tool here. Mine's in my taskbar, as you can probably see. But if you don't see it, you can always come up here. It's one of the features that's preloaded. Or if you don't see it, just click on your window and you can just start typing snipping tool and it comes right up. Okay. So from here, I can select my image. The other option I have for image selection is a little different. I could take this image and I could pull this complete sheet into a Google slide. I could pull this complete sheet into a PDF, but generally I like to work with the image better just because it's easier to load. So let me see if I can even just make this a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to select it. Okay. Snipping tool, I'm going to click on new, and I'm going to highlight this image as best as I possibly can. Okay, if you'll notice it clicks down to here, so it brings in some also on my taskbar. Well, that's not going to work for me because I need the whole thing, and that's not going to do it. So I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit smaller, and now I'll get the whole image. And while we may not think this is big enough, we'll look and see on the students on the preview, and we'll for the students test, and then we'll decide if it's big enough, Dan. I think you'll find it probably will be. So there's my image. I've got it now. I do have to save it, okay? You can't just cut and paste this into the import. So I'm just going to save my snip. Generally, I just save these to the desktop. It's a little easier. I don't even rename them. It says capture, and I'll just leave it that way and save it. Exit out. And now I'm going to go back to my form. Insert image. And upload, choose an image. Go to my desktop, and capture is what it was called. And I'm done. So as we're looking at these, you can probably tell this should be big enough for the students to identify what they're looking at. It may be smaller than the original, which was 8 by 10, but this is going to be big enough for the things that I need. Okay, so now below I've got my rows and my columns. We're going to work with this a little bit and see how things look. So my rows are going to be 1 through 12. And my columns are going to be the names of these particular places. So let's go back to my rows. And I'm just typing these in, letting them go by themselves. And every time I type it in, I just hit enter. I don't want number 13, so we'll get rid of that. And then I'm going to pull in the names of my places. And let's see how that looks. With the spaces in between there, I should be able to copy and paste it, but I may not. We'll see how it looks. It's probably not. Yeah, it put all of them on one. Okay, that's not going to work. All right, so we'll get rid of that, and we'll start with each one individually. Since I don't have two screens here, I'm going to take this and pull this out, move it to the left. See how it kind of lit up right there on the left? Now I'm going to let go. That's going to be half of the screen for me to view. And then this one is automatically half. So then I'm going to come in here. I'm not a big fan of typing, so I'm not going to type these. I'm just going to highlight, Control-C, and paste each one of these in here. Okay? Control-C and paste. And then Control-C, highlight, Control-C, and paste. You may recall a minute ago I said we need to look at these and see if this looks how we want it to look when we present it. I don't want to go through all of this and then have to redo it. So I've got 3 in there with all the 12 of the numbers. Let's go to my preview and see how it looks. Click on the eyeball. That's your preview of the student view when they're looking at the quiz. There's that. So choose a feature that matches. Yes, number 1. And so the kid would choose Arabian Peninsula, Arabian Sea, Aral Sea, I'm guessing. And so the kid matches here, and he would choose yes or no. By the time we get done, he'll have all 12, and these will go all the way across. So it does look like I want it to look, okay? So I'll just exit out, and I'll go back to work. Pull this back out, back to the side, and I'm on Caspian Sea now. And I'm just going to go through these in order until I get done. What are these things? I'm sure there's a faster way or an easier way, but honestly, I want to keep this as close to the curriculum standard as possible. So I'm going to copy exactly the order in which it's presented in there so that I present it to the kids in that same way. Because if I present it this way, it's most likely going to look something like this on a CBA, and it won't be a completely new format that they're looking at. And I think this is my last one. Yep. Highlight, Control-C, click, Control-V. All right, so let's see how this looks now. This should be what it's going to look like. My preview is here. I've got my map. I've got the 12 things. So yeah, so I can see almost all of them. The students on their devices, they'll scroll left and right. If this would be maybe too much for your students to scroll left and right too, maybe you want to split this in half. So you could do the first 6, but you kind of reduce the rigor now when they only have 6 choices. Or you could just do like numbers 1 through 6, and you could leave all the choices still there and decide how you want to split it up. In which case, you would just import a picture again as you do the next 12. I'm sorry, next 6. So that looks good. I'm going to leave that way, and then I'm going to move on to my next question. So let's pull up my assessment again. Can't read that. Going to make that bigger. Here we go. All right. So this one's kind of the same sort of thing. On the map below, there's 12 questions of the region, numbered 13 to 24. Their names are listed in the answer bank. Write the name of each country on the line. So now they're not writing the name. I could do it that way. I could have them put the number and they would just write in the blank, but they've already got the answer bank. It's essentially multiple choice. So I'm just going to keep up with my multiple choice grid. Okay, so again, they say I got 12 countries in the region, so I need 12 more spaces yet again. So I'm back on my assessment. Let's see. Now, if I could duplicate this whole section, I can duplicate it, but you'll see it's the exact duplicate. It's everything. Well, that's not going to work because I don't need the same questions or the same maps. Okay, so yeah, it's like that's not going to work. So let's trash that. That's not going to work for me. I just duplicate the format. Can't really duplicate just the format. So I'm just going to add a question. And down here, I'm going to choose the format, multiple choice grid. There's space right there for my picture. I'm going to go back to my assessment. And essentially, I'm going to have the same instructions here as I had on my first one. So their names are listed. How about in the answer bank, I put on the left. Oops. On the left, choose the name of each country. Choose the name of each country. And I'm just going to leave it like that. Choose the name of each country that matches the number. Oh, I don't want their names. Their names aren't going to be listed on the left. I'm not doing it that way. Choose the name of each country that matches the number. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Sorry. And let's look at this and make sure I did this. Choose the feature that matches the number. Yeah, that's the same thing. I'm trying to keep the format exactly the same so it's no surprise when they're coming into this. So again, I've got a map that I've got to pull. If you remember, I got it down a little bit smaller so I could see it. And maybe if I can hide some of my tools. That's too much to work with right now. Let's just get it done. I'll try 70%. And that'll be big enough for me for what I need here. I'm going to go back to my my snipping tool, go back to new. And don't worry about this box here. It won't copy that box. Go up here as far as I can. And here we go. I'm going to save this one again. I'm going to save it as the same name as the old one. Do you want to replace it? I'm going to say yes, because I don't need that old one anyway. Back to my assessment. Here's my image. Upload Again, still named capture. And I'm done. So there's my image now for them to see. If I look at this, they should have no problem telling exactly where number 20 and 21 and 22 and so on are pointing. And that's one of the great things about creating a map and identifiers in Google Forms or just in Classroom, because now it's a whole lot easier for the kids to see. You might see some smearing on other places if this were just a copy, but you're not going to see that on an actual image that you put in here. It's going to be a pretty high resolution. So let's go back to my assessment. And what are the words I want? So here we go. I'm going to do what I did a minute ago, snap left and right, and give me a chance to put all these in here. So we're just going to number these 1 through 12. Okay, that's done. Make sure I take out 13. I don't want that. And now I've got my answer bank over here. So my columns, I know this works because I did it last time with the other one. And I'm just going to copy these one by one. Definitely want to copy these. I do not want to experiment with spelling Azerbaijan because I will not get it right. So if you can't tell, again, I'm just double clicking on the words. As soon as I do on my keyboard, I hit the control button, hold it down, and hit C. And then I come back over here, hit the control button, hold it down, and hit V. And that's all my copying and pasting. Oh, that looks like my last one on the list, but I must have missed one over there. Oh, there's one. So I said earlier that I wanted to keep it how the curriculum is, and now it's out of order, so it's not like the curriculum. So all I've got to do is I'll hover over this, and if you'll see this little cross X here with these little dots, I can click on Saudi Arabia, and I can drag that up to where it's after Pakistan, just like on the district document. And so let's take a minute now and look at this one to make sure it looks how we want it to look. On my preview, scroll down. I know this one's good. I scroll down here. Oh, let's see. These are numbered differently. Look what I did. So these got to be numbered 13 through 24. But that's no biggie. It still looks right. I just got to go in there and change it. Glad we looked at that. Really great if I would have done that on purpose, but I didn't. It was pure accident. But we can still fix it. 13, 12, 14, 15. It's messing me up here. There. Now I can put 14 in there. Whoopsie. What is that telling me? Oh, I got 14 down here already. That's the problem. $17, $18. Okay, so now I got all these other ones that are left over because it doesn't delete them. It just moves them on down. So I'll just come in here and delete them myself. No biggie. I deleted too many. No biggie. I'll add them. Okay. Now let's preview that and see if that looks right. 12. Make sure these are in order. 14, 17. Yep. Okay. I'm all good there. And those all look good there. So the kids just pick them. And their max number is 24. And I max out at 24. Okay. X out of that. And I'm going to go back. Let's see what's next on my assessment. Those are probably the two hardest things that you're going to do with the multiple choice grid. But once you get it down, it's pretty easy to work through, especially if you've got the curriculum and the document and all the answer choices right there in front of you. So all you got to do is copy and paste them. And so here we are continued. This is a straight up multiple choice question and answer. I'm only going to do one of these just so you can kind of see how it works. So I'm going to highlight the question, Control and C, copy. And now I'm at my assessment. I'm adding a new question. Question. I hit the button, Control V. It's multiple choice. I come back over here. What were my question choices? Here we go. Control copy. And I'm going to come over here to my choices. Now, when I Control V and paste, it pastes everything and it puts each one on a different line. It didn't do like it did earlier with my word bank of choices because they're already separated by the letters. I'm going to go ahead and leave the letters in there because why not? So do the next one with my next question and highlight the sentence, Control copy. Over here, Control V, paste, come back with my options, highlight all of them, Control C, paste, and it's done. So those are all set. And what's next on here? I've got one more question. I'm going to skip that one for now because I know I've got one that's a map. So this one's another map, but it's a much smaller map, which is great because it's easier to work with. Use this map to help answer questions 6 through 8. So I'm going to highlight all of that, and that's going to be what goes into my next question. I'm not going to put anything else here. I'm just going to leave it, okay? And I'm going to see if I can't even take this option out. I'll just put the map underneath it. Bring that down just a hair. That's a little too small. Let me see if I can bring that to 80 and still have enough room to make the picture. I might even get that to 85. Kids could probably work with 80, but I like to make it as big and as workable as possible. Same thing. Got it. Going to save it. Yes. Again, I'm going to call it capture. Save. Do you want to override? Yes. Exit out. Come on over. Here's my map. And there we go. So it's a little blurry because it actually turns out to be bigger than what the kids were seeing and on the PDF and what we saw. But it's going to work for our purposes here because we want it to just look at the vegetation zones. I'm sorry, climate zones, yeah. If you'll notice, I clicked on these 3 dots and I moved it to where I wanted it to go. So I can change, remove, or add a caption. And I'm just going to leave it that way. Maybe I'll put my caption. I'll make my caption that was my words. Okay, so there we go. There's that. It says answer questions 6 through 8. Let me see if I want to number those exactly that way. I'm going to change that to just the following questions because these aren't really following 6 through 8. Okay, so highlighted my question, Control C, copy. And I'm going to bring my questions up here. Still multiple choice. And now I'm just going to bring in my answer choices. And there we are. We're done with that particular question. And there's 2 other questions, and you would essentially follow the same format for those other 2 questions. You could include the map a couple more times if you needed to, but honestly, it's only 3 questions, so you probably don't need to do that. The kids can just scroll back up to it. And we're pretty much done here, but I think I'm going to change this. I don't like the question being way up here, up above the map. I kind of like how I had it earlier. So and then I'll still use the instructions. I'll have them be stated up here. Now I realize this isn't really a question. But honestly, it doesn't matter because I'm also the person making the key. And so Google doesn't care what your question is if you want it graded for you. All it really cares about is you've got answer choices in there and you tell it which one is going to be right. So this is really the caption, but I used it as a question. So all I'm going to do is go in here and change this as my key, and it'll still grade it properly for me. And then if I add the following questions that come afterwards, I'll just add those ask questions, and they'll still work. And as we see here, I'm going to do my next 4. Okay, so let's pretend I'm done. I know I got a couple more to do, but I'm not going to really worry about that right now. I do want to preview it though again and check everything. So how's it look? Okay, so that looks pretty good. Notice these questions, they don't really go to the map. Those questions are going to go just there. Based on what I'm seeing, they look most like just general questions because there's no map. Using your information you learned from the lab. So the kids are supposed to recall this information and put in the correct answer. So there's no map to these whatsoever. They can look for maps, but they're not going to help them. It's not supposed to. So here now I'm done. My next thing to do is going to be to edit this so I can create an answer key. Okay. So it's not a quiz yet. So I've got to change this to make it a quiz. And as soon as I make it a quiz, assign point values to questions and allow auto grading, then I'm going to choose this in my settings, how I want this set up. Kids will get this sent to them via their Gmail, their district Gmail. Show link. Okay. Submit. Whoa, I don't want them to submit another response, do I? No. I also don't want to shuffle questions because if I shuffle it, then my questions are going to be all out of order and the wrong map is going to be presented with the wrong questions. Don't want to do that on this kind of question. I'm sorry, this kind of form. Collect email addresses. Yes. This way, you'll get the student's email address. And in our district, it's, of course, the student's first and last name. So you got that. You don't need a space for their name if you collect their email. Restrict to HEB users. Yes. Limit to 1. Yes. Students can edit or see summary charts and text responses. So you probably don't want them to see other kids' submissions, and you probably don't want them to edit after they've submitted. So I'm not going to check any of those. Okay. You might do that for another assignment, but not one that's an assessment like this. So I'm saving that. Total points. Here's where I go in and I choose my answer key. So let's hit on this one. Multiple choice grid. Answer key. So for each one of these, number 1, I would have to go in and choose Okay, I'm going to guess. That certainly looks like Ural Mountains within that area to me. I don't really know it that well. But regardless, let's say Kazakh Upland. I'll give that a shot. And it's going to be worth 5 points. So now I've got my system and it's set up here as part of my answer key. So each one of these singular questions is going to be a different answer choice with a different point value that you're going to assign over here. So you would assign it in each one of those spots. You do the same thing down here. You just click on it and then it asks you for answer key. Click on answer key and then choose your answer, assign the point values. For these down here, these are a lot easier. Answer key, click on it, and you just click on the one that's the answer. Most common type, I'm going to say Highlands. And then you put in your answer choice, and let's say it's 5 points. The cool thing about this is if you scroll back up here to the top, Google will tell you the total number of points you've calculated so far. But the bad thing about this is you cannot do fractional points. That is to say, you can't have a question worth 6.2 points or 6.5 points to make the total 100. So when you get done and the total number of points is not 100, you might want to consider increasing the point value of some of your questions, or if it's over 100, decreasing the point value of some of your questions. You've got to make sure, of course, that they reach 100. Otherwise, the kid gets them all right and he's only got 94. That doesn't often go over too well. Again, answer key, and so on and so forth. And then you'll have this all done, and it'll be ready to roll. And when you're ready for it to post into your classroom, all you've got to do is open your classes. Oh, here's one I'm not using. And I'm going to post classwork, create assignment. I've already made it a quiz, so I just need to find it. And I need to find it in my drive. It's right here. It's working. I'm going to reload and see what happened. There we go. Okay. Let's see. I'm not very happy with this right now. Let's try it again. There we go. I add this to my class. I've got my assessment. Title it. Oh, I'm just going to call it assessment. And then take this up. It's ready to go. I can lock mode on Chromebooks or not. You may or may not want to do this. It kind of depends on you. Let's say I'm going to do it for locked mode. Don't assign it until you've got your class sitting in your room, or better yet, go ahead and schedule it for when you know that class is going to come into the room. So let's say it's tomorrow and that class is coming in here at 9:15. Bam. And 15. So if I schedule it now, nobody can open it until that class comes in at 9:15. So it's scheduled for tomorrow, and as soon as tomorrow at 9:15 rolls around, it'll be posted. So if you have a kid who likes to get on Classroom at home, he won't be working on this test at home. So you might want to schedule your assignments. And really, that's it. If I want to make some changes to it, excuse me, let's see, I want to make some changes to customize my header, work in school. Here we go. There's a nice picture of the world. We'll use that. And there. Now that's done. I made a change here, and these changes will be automatically reflected in the assessment that the kids take. If you look there, you can see in the preview, it's already updated. So even if you were to make a mistake and you have to come in there and change it, it'll update all by itself if you just update it directly from this specific form. Let's see, anything else I want to do here on my settings? Just double check everything. You may want to change this response receipts always so the kids know that you got their submitted test. That's up to you, really. Progress. Maybe show that in case they want to see how much longer they've got to take it. It is a quiz. Remember, locked mode, you may or may not want to do this. I would let you choose for that. Release grade. If you do your key, yes, release your grade. If you have some things to manually review, like a short answer, don't do immediately. Otherwise, it'll automatically count those that you have to manually review. It will automatically count them wrong. So you would want to do later. But that's up to you also. Kind of depends on what you're doing. Save it. And basically now, we're done. This quiz is ready to roll out for students who want to open it up and start taking the quiz. And when they get it, they'll hit this preview button. And this is what they'll see. And it'll look just like this for your students who are going to be taking your quiz. All right, I hope that's helpful for you. If you got any questions, please let me know. I'm an email away. My phone extension's 2103 if you can catch me in my office. All right, thanks so much. Have a good day.